What is the worst feeling ever? When someone betray your trust, when you needed them the most. When the person you would normally go to for advice and comfort is the one hurting you, and you simultaneously hate them, and wish they were there to comfort you over it. For me, they became almost literally two different people in my mind. It was like the person I'd spent the last 9 years with had been killed off, and replaced by some evil doppelganger. I hated the person who was doing these things to me, and I wanted more than anything else to be able to go to my soulmate and talk about it. Yep, happiest memories of your life turned to shit, things you used to enjoy doing together, and places you used to go together are ruined. I got the pets, and I love them more than anything else in the world right now, but they're also another constant reminder of how things used to be. If it were as simple as sorry, I just fell out of love, it would have still hurt deeply, but I don't think it would have made as much of a lasting pain as all the lying, manipulation, and betrayal did. Losing loved ones, somebody breaking up with you, you having to leave somebody you once loved. Losing friends you supported not being there for you, like you were for them. That gut-wrenching feeling you get when you realize you fucked up something very badly, and you can't fix it anymore. And then you have to tell someone about the fuck up because it directly or indirectly involves them. I have stress dreams where I feel this. It usually involves me having to get rid of a body. Like when I thought I was deleting an alias, but it was in fact the work file containing 3 years of work. And there was no backup. I went to the toilet and cried. Opted the best thing was to play dumb. And it was eventually decided the computer had malfunctioned. I got away with it. If you can just click delete, and lose 3 years of work, your company isn't practicing good backup policy, and that's not on you. To add to this, screwing up a relationship, and being left with the feeling of loneliness, and there's nothing you can do to fix it. The loneliness on top of having fucked up is indescribable. Bonus points, if doing so also screwed you out of the only person or people you could have talked about an issue of that magnitude with. This one cuts deep. My ex and I were basically each other's therapists. I can't talk with anyone about stuff like this anymore. If I try with friends, they get tired of it really quickly. I get it, and I don't feel comfortable opening up to strangers about stuff. I never fully appreciated how nice it is to have someone who is always there to listen. I just bottle everything up now. Feeling this so much recently. Soulmate lost. The guilt is horrible, couldn't escape the pain for weeks. Never been one to ever self-harm, but I got close. This blew up. Just wanted to say to anyone that is struggling. I felt like I was in an inescapable hell that would just punish me anytime I had any reminder of the relationship. That I'll never come close to finding someone like that again. I had no meaning in life. I enjoyed nothing. How could I possibly enjoy anything when the only thing I want is gone? No day is a good day. Everything is shit. But eventually, things do start to get better. Maybe you're not crying 50% plus of the time you are awake. You do one chore around the house. You go for a walk. Then you go a whole day without crying. You're still sad, but you didn't cry. Slowly but surely, things do get better. But you have to make choices and changes to get better. Don't rush yourself, allow yourself to feel shit. Listen to our song or some emo. Let it out, write it down. Slowly remember that there are things that you like doing. You haven't cried for a whole week now. Become a better person for yourself, and the next person you share your life with. It's hard, but we can all do it, one day at a time. You are not alone. I had to end a 5-year relationship this month. It's not that I fucked up, more like realizing that her attitude was wrong in many ways. She wasn't gonna change, and I couldn't live like that anymore. But I always thought we would end up together. Lost my best friend, the only person I could open up to. I got scary close to self-harm as well. The feeling of total helplessness while watching a loved one die. I felt this in the pit of my stomach. For the last 2 years of her life, I had to watch helplessly as my wife faded. It came to the end, when she was in the ICU in a coma. There was no chance of any quality of life, and I had to make the dreaded decision to take her off of life support. It was the worst day of my life, losing my best friend, soulmate, and my wife all at once. The only comfort I get out of it is knowing she's not in pain anymore, and that she is with her brother again. My husband had a heart attack at home. When I found him, he was gray, sweating, had fixed pupils, agonal breathing. He was transported to a small hospital near our home before being transferred to a larger hospital. He had been without oxygen for too long. Had he even survived, he would have been vegetative. I'll never forget the look in the ER doctor's face before I left to drive to the big hospital. Our son was there too, and then the cardiac team at the big hospital. Everyone looked so grim. They called in the chaplain, and told me I needed to make the call to stop resuscitation measures. He had no brain activity, and coded several times. There was no chance. As he began to code again, I told them to stop. It was immediate. They rushed me to the head of his bed and I held his hand as he quietly passed. He never woke up, never made a sound. Sorry to dump this on you. I guess what I'm trying to say is I understand completely. And being rather young, it's hard to find people who know what I've been through. My condolences for your loss, Blue Heart. I stayed by my mom's bedside, through her last few days of deteriorating consciousness, then the death rattle, the agonal breathing, and until she turned cold, then yellow. Shit changes you on the most fundamental level. This is so true. Death is so glorified on TV, then when you actually see it, would be horrifying enough without it being your parent. The nurses at the hospice my dad was in were absolute angels guiding us through it, but it scars you. It's very weird because in real life, it's very unceremonial. My best friend died of ALS at 30 last year. I was with him through the end, and it's just like, okay, he's gone now. And the world moves along. That feeling that you get right after losing a person/pet, that you loved so dearly. It's such a hopeless feeling. Like you're reaching out, and crying for someone who just minutes before was there. That's the worst feeling ever. I just lost my dog this afternoon to liver cancer. Fucking sucks. Miss him so much. When a loved one passes, knowing you'll never physically see or hear them again. Oh God, the pain of waking up from a dream about them, and having to remember they're dead all over again, it renews that feeling. I like dreaming about my dad. It does suck in the morning, but the feeling I get when I see him in my dream is worth JT. When I was at work, and my wife called to tell me they lost my son, and called 911. I work 90 minutes away from. My son is fine and safe, he was hiding in the house, but I've never felt so bad in my life. Doom. That diagnosis. That moment when failure is inevitable. The impending breakup. My dad was in a coma for a little over a week before we lost him, and we knew we would be losing him. That's doom, and it's the prelude to grief. I hope none of you experience doom. It's like having all of your agency for change stripped away. It's a true sense of powerlessness, and it's traumatizing. That moment when I asked the hospice nurse if this was really real, and my mom was actually about to die, and she said I'm sorry, yes. The regret you feel 1 second, after saying something really hurtful to someone. Once someone explained their joke to me, because I didn't laugh, and I told them I got it just wasn't funny, and immediately felt like an absolute dick. Being stuck in life. There is no forward progress, and there is no going back. You are just where you are. This is exactly what I'm going through. They say it gets better, but for me each year's only gotten worse. And then over time I'll just age, and my parents will die. Life is crushing and just feels like a chore, like, I'm just waiting to hurry up, and die already. Acknowledging the death of your most loved one, making your brain understand that they just don't exist anymore, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to change that. Missing a long-term partner, and knowing they don't feel the same way, skeptical. Yeah, that's kinda what I was thinking. Loving someone who no longer loves you back is so hard. Anhedonia. When doing something you used to enjoy no longer invokes the feelings they once did. Everything I used to enjoy no longer does anything for me. You could chalk this up to depression, but this is a specific feeling that makes me feel empty inside, because everything that used to make me smile feels like a chore now. I have ADHD, so I go through this fairly regularly. It's a cycle of hyperfixation, holding on as long as possible, then trying to convince myself I still enjoy doing something until I just can't anymore. Eventually I have to just accept I won't enjoy that thing again, even if I've spent the past months obsessing over it. But eventually a new fixation develops to take its place, and the cycle continues. You know that feeling, when you just wake up, and for a second everything seems okay. Yeah, the feeling right after when you remember everything is, in fact, Not okay. I have 4 of the most major upheavals happening simultaneously right now, and this is me every morning. Facing homelessness, bankruptcy, health issues and the end of my relationship. Being cheated on in a serious relationship. It's so much more than betrayal, it cuts you deep, and has you wondering what's wrong with you, and then every relationship you ever have after is different, because you've been changed and trusting is never the same. The guilt you feel for leaving a good person, because you know you couldn't fully show up for them the way they deserved in your current state of life. I'm having a really hard time with it right now. Thank you to everyone commenting, and being vulnerable here. Some of us are really going through it right now, and although I wish we weren't, our path to healing has to start sometime, somewhere. The rules that our traumas and experiences are keeping us bound to are lying, and we need to put in the work to have grace with ourselves during this process more than anything else. I truly wish I could hug you all right now, because I sure as fuck could use one myself.